Good morning, my fellow carbaholics. I've had a couple of requests lately for banana bread, and I've made some banana bread for a few clients, and they've asked me for the recipe. And you know, I don't give out a lot of my recipes. But every now and then, something as ubiquitous as banana bread is something I think that all of us need to be able to make at home. So today, I'm going to show you how I do mine. All right, it may not be your grandmother's banana bread, it may not be your mom's banana bread, but it's Henry's banana bread. So let's get to it. Okay, I'm making this bread for the market. So the recipe that I'm using here is a little bit larger than the one you would use at home. So I'm gonna tell you what you should do at home, and you'll see what I'm doing here. So we're gonna need 6 ripe bananas. The bananas that have brown on them, that means they're ripe. My grandmother used to call the yellow bananas raw bananas, because that's all we ate was the darker colored bananas. 6 ripe bananas, I'm using 18. And then we're gonna do 2/3 cup of melted butter. I've got 2 cups of melted butter here. And then we're gonna stir that in. And then we're gonna go to the sugar. Okay guys, sugar. You can use anywhere between 1 1/4 cup to 2 cups of sugar in your banana bread. I go for the high end. So in this recipe, for me, that's 6 cups. And then you're gonna add 2 large eggs. I don't know if I mentioned it, but any chance you get, anytime you're baking and you're using an enriched dough or you're using eggs in your dough, then you want to make sure that the eggs are at room temperature. Especially if you're beating the eggs or whisking the eggs, trying to get some air into things, you really want to make sure they're at room temperature, otherwise they won't perform as well. All these are at room temperature except that one. All right, now we're gonna go for some pure vanilla extract. For you, it's 2 teaspoons. But since I'm tripling this recipe, that's pure vanilla extract, and you can really taste the difference. My mom claims she used to put a little bit of that behind her ear before she went to school to smell good. Back in the day, before Yves Saint Laurent was around and Halston and now you're gonna need 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Not baking powder, but baking soda. See how I did that? Go in, get a healthy scoop, and rub it across the top, and you end up with a nice, even, pretty tablespoon. And you know, if you guys know me, you know Tablespoons and cups are not my friend. I don't bake with US measurements at all, because your cup of flour is different than my cup of flour, is different than your neighbor's cup of flour. It's all different because of the way you put it in the cup and the way you shake it or whatever you do to it. So whenever I can, which is almost always, I measure my ingredients. I weigh them, especially the flour. So there you are. You got your baking soda in there. Now we need a pinch of salt. A pinch of salt is a little less than a gram. It's about 0.38 grams. So I'm tripling there, so it's 1 and a little bit of grams. And I've been doing it long enough. Here's another hack. Whenever you're measuring using teaspoons or tablespoons or whatever, measure out your ingredient and then pour it in your hand and get used to what it looks like and feels like in your hand. So that if you're in a situation at some point where you don't have one of these, then your hand will kind of get you close, okay? You're gonna add 3 cups of flour to this mixture, and you're gonna do it a little bit at a time. So add a cup, stir, add a cup, and stir, and we'll go from there. So I've got mine in here, pre-measured. You don't want to pour flour directly out of the bag into your recipe. If you mess up, you can always put more flour in. You can't take it out. One of the things I want to point out to you is that with banana bread and adding all this flour, for some reason, sometimes you'll end up with flour on the bottom of the bowl that's not incorporated. So spend some time down there. You don't want to mix this until it's smooth. You want to mix this until all the flour is incorporated. You see there's little spots that still have to be incorporated. Like there's another spot. All right, so it is at this point that we can get creative. If you want to add nuts or raisins or anything like that, now's the time to do that. So I have some walnuts here. Now I'm going to add these to the mixture. Okay, now we're done. All we have to do is grease some baking pans and get this stuff in it. I like to make sure it's settled. And then you're baking at 350, 375 for an hour. Take a toothpick or some other, something else that you use to detect temperature and stick it in the middle of the bread. If it comes out clean, it's done. If it's not, give it some more time. Okay, let me know how yours turns out. But in the meantime, if you want some of mine, which I'm gonna do a few more things to it on the top and everything else, I'll be at the market tomorrow in Blythewood. Also at the farmer's market in Camden, the Kershaw County Farmer's Market this Saturday. That is, God willing, and the creek don't rise because of this hurricane. But anyway, we'll see you there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your support. Appreciate your help.